we're reading today, we are learning to determine the theme of a text or story by finding the lesson in the story and understanding that lesson. So, this poster about theme has been hanging in 360 for most of the year. This year, with our TC curriculum, we've been talking a lot about the themes of different stories, and we've had many opportunities to try to find the theme of the story. If you do not remember what the theme is, you can read it right here. It's the moral, message, or lesson the author wants you to learn from the story. And we would say it is the heart of the story. When you're trying to figure out the theme of your story, you can ask yourself some of these questions. You can think to yourself, what did the character learn? Usually the main character. How did the main character grow or change? Or you can ask yourself, what important part of life is the story about? We also have some common themes over here in case you get stuck. So common themes include love, honesty, friendship, kindness, acceptance, teamwork, trusting others, bravery, being yourself, overcoming challenges, respect, hard work, hope, forgiveness, and courage. These are just some common ones. There's way more themes. I'm going to give you an example of how we might find theme of a story by going over some of these questions. So if you have not read or listened to the story Not Yeti Yeti, please stop this video and do that first. In the story Not Yeti Yeti, let's look for the problem in the story and let's try to figure out how the character grew or changed. So the main character in the story is George. Here he is. Remember, everyone in his family is a Yeti, except for George. And so he asks different people in his family, when will I be a Yeti? And they give him an answer about some things that Yetis do, particularly their favorite thing to do as a Yeti. And he continues to ask different people in his family, and they tell him different things, like screaming with terror and other things like that. Now, when George talks to his mother, that's when he starts to learn something. It's not fair, George said to his mom when she came back from chasing some hikers. I'm still not yet a Yeti. Do you want to be a Yeti? Mom asked. George looked inside his head for the Yeti he imagined he would be. It wasn't there. So right now we can see George starting to change. The beginning part of this book, on every page he was trying to become a Yeti. And now he's trying to picture himself as a Yeti, and he can't picture it. No, George said. So there's that big change. He decided he doesn't want to be a Yeti. Mom put on some soup. She hadn't caught any hikers that day, so it was vegetable again. Well, what do you want to be? George looked back inside of his head, and finally he saw it. I want to be a unicorn. And the rest of the book, George talks about the things that he can do as a unicorn and how it will relate to his family. When I think about this story, I think about the lesson that George learned and how he changed. At the beginning, all he wanted to do was be a Yeti. And at the end, he realized that he didn't have to be a Yeti, that he could be himself, which was, it turns out, a unicorn. When I look at some common themes in this story, I want to try to figure out what George learned about himself. George learned just to be himself. George grew because at the beginning he wanted to be something that he wasn't. And at the end, he realized he could be a unicorn, as he is here in this picture, and he's helping people where his family isn't, and that's okay. And even if we go back a page, or maybe two, that's okay with his family. So in this story, the message that the author might have wanted us to know, or the lesson, is that it's okay to be yourself, even if yourself is really different from others. And we can see that right here in the picture. George looks very different from everyone in his family, but that's okay. Today, as you're reading, I want you to try to find the theme in your story. I'm looking for you to notice the changes in the characters to help determine what the characters learned and how they grew.